On the night of December 24, 2001 in Dallas, Texas, a horrifying crime took place when businessman Kevin Butler was attacked and killed inside his own home by two drunken men. But what no one expected was that the sole witness would leap into action. This tragic yet heartwarming case led to one of the most unusual arrests in American criminal history, thanks to a tiny beak and a bond that defied species. This is one of the strangest true crime stories you'll ever hear. Stay tuned to find out how a heroic helped bring killers to justice.
If you're a fan of the strange, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any video. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
Christmas Eve, 2001. While most homes in Dallas, Texas were wrapped in garlands and echoing with laughter, one house on a quiet suburban street would become the scene of something unthinkable. A double homicide with a witness no one expected. Kevin Butler, 48, a quiet and meticulous businessman, was in his kitchen preparing food for a friend's holiday gathering the next day. His life was ordinary, his plans simple. Cook, celebrate, and spend time with those he trusted. But fate had a darker script written. As Kevin chopped vegetables and stirred pots, he heard a familiar voice from down the hallway. "Kevin." It was Larry. Larry often stayed at Kevin's house. Though Kevin didn't catch exactly what was being said, the tone in Larry's voice was urgent, strained. Kevin shouted back, "Be there in a sec," while rinsing off his hands. Then everything changed. Kevin heard two voices, slurred, aggressive, male, and they weren't inside the house. Yet, they were just outside in his yard. Whoever they were, they sounded drunk. But what made Kevin's heart skip a beat wasn't the intrusion. It was recognition. He knew those voices. Kevin strode to the front door, flung it open, and there they were, Johnny Cerna and Daniel Torres. Johnny was a former employee. Months earlier, he tried to steal from Kevin, forging a check in a clumsy attempt to embezzle money. Since then, things had soured. There were arguments, legal threats, insults exchanged. Kevin had washed his hands of Johnny. But now, here he was, and he hadn't come alone. Kevin's eyes narrowed. "What are you guys here to steal from me again?" he barked. Johnny said nothing. Instead, he lunged and struck Kevin square in the jaw. The punch knocked him backward. Dazed, Kevin tried to regain his footing, but he never got the chance. Johnny and Daniel rushed inside, beating him down with fists and kicks. Kevin struggled, but the two men quickly overpowered him. They slammed the door shut behind them. Then came the cord, an electrical wire from somewhere in the house. Kevin was tied up, limbs pinned and helpless. He called out for help, struggling against the restraints. But no one came, at least not yet. Daniel and Johnny vanished briefly into the kitchen. When they returned, they were holding knives. What followed was horrifying. The two men began stabbing Kevin over and over. It wasn't rage. It was something darker, calculated, sustained. Blood soaked the living room carpet as Kevin screamed, then whimpered, then fell silent. But there was still someone else in the house. Larry. Down the hallway, in his perch, Larry had heard everything. The violent entrance, Kevin's cries, the sound of bodies crashing to the floor. And when Kevin cried out one last desperate time, Larry knew he had to act. He launched himself forward. But Larry wasn't a person. He was a cockatoo, a white, crested parrot Kevin had adopted 2 years earlier. Named after Larry Bird, the legendary basketball player, the bird was more than a pet. He was family. And in that moment, he became something else entirely. A hero. Larry flew down the hallway, wings flapping like thunder, claws bared. He darted into the room and dove at Daniel, scratching and biting with wild intensity. He latched onto Daniel's head, drawing blood as he pecked and clawed with everything he had. Daniel cursed and swung the knife at the bird, staggering back as feathers flew. But Larry wouldn't stop. Not until he was ripped off and struck down. When the police arrived the next morning, alerted by a worried neighbor who had heard the disturbance but had been too afraid to intervene, they walked into a scene of carnage. Kevin Butler was dead. So was Larry. The investigators began documenting the scene. A broken home, signs of forced entry, trails of blood leading from room to room. But amidst the horror, one small detail stood out. Larry the cockatoo lay near Kevin's body, and on his beak, barely visible to the naked eye, was a smear of blood. But it wasn't Kevin's. It was Daniel's. The lab confirmed it. The DNA on Larry's beak matched Daniel Torres. From there, detectives followed the trail quickly, with evidence mounting and Larry's final act leaving an undeniable forensic signature. Both Daniel Torres and Johnny Cerna were arrested and charged with murder. In court, the story stunned the public. Two drunk men, blinded by revenge and greed, broke into a man's home on Christmas Eve and killed him. But their downfall? A 12-inch bird who fought to the death trying to protect his owner. Though Larry was just a cockatoo, his intervention gave law enforcement the only physical evidence they would need to tie Daniel to the crime scene. Because of him, justice was not only possible, it was swift. In the end, both Daniel and Johnny were convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. And Larry? He became more than a pet, more than a name. He became a symbol of loyalty, of courage, of one final, feathered clue that brought two killers to justice.
What if I told you there was a boundless vault full of a million secrets, buried mysteries, and life-changing adventures just waiting to be explored? A place where stories lie in wait just a tap away. Well, that place is Whispers of the Moonlight. Imagine you're stuck in rush hour traffic, just staring at the sea of red tail lights all in front of you, just wishing you could be home right now, but you can't 'cause you're stuck here. Except you're not really stuck here. Instead, you've been, transported to this incredible world 'cause you're in the middle of an Whispers of the Moonlight thriller. And then before you know it, suddenly you're in your driveway. You've forgotten about the traffic and you're just consumed by the story you're listening to the point where you don't want to get out. You don't want to go home 'cause you're so engrossed. That's the Whispers of the Moonlight effect. From edgier seat thrillers to minding sci-fi epics, Whispers of the Moonlight transforms words into boundless imagination and helps you live the experience. But Whispers of the Moonlight isn't just about entertainment. Whispers of the Moonlight offers a passage to self-discovery. Do you want to unlock the secrets of success from world-class experts? Done. Do you want to dominate your finances and transform your wellness? It's all here. Want advice to steer your career? Just press play. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of today's episode in the comments. And remember, we have hundreds of videos for you to binge right now. But if you're looking for a recommendation from me of that one video that's worth your time, well, it's this one right here. So, give it a watch. Alright, until next time. See you.